Good evening, sports fans. You're watching a special episode of Sports Desk. I'm Cheska Litton.
And I'm Gene Rufino. We are joined by head coaches who have forgotten more about the game of basketball than we will ever know. Coach Yeng Guiao and Coach Tim Cohn. Welcome back. And of course, yesterday we left off with a very interesting topic: the top 40 list of the PBA greatest players of all time. We were discussing off cam that already several players right off the top of our heads are missing, like the likes of Bong Hawkins, of course Yo-Yo Villamin, Abby King, Nelson Asaitono, and some guys that you have coached as well. Let's talk about this list, and let's start with I guess some of the more obvious names that should be definitely on this list. Coach Tim.
Well, I don't know if there's any names that obviously should be on the list because it's a tough process, first of all. Anytime that you can make arguments for a lot of those guys, and of course we all have our own prejudices. You know, I'm prejudiced towards Bong Hawkins. He's going to be prejudiced towards Nelson, although I do think Nelson should be there as well. But I felt heartbroken when Bong didn't make the top 25. So now that he didn't make the top 40 is really difficult for me to personally swallow. But again, I understand that the process is very, very difficult. Bong was a guy that really I always felt was our most important player on our team, the most irreplaceable player on our team. We could find a way to make something happen without Johnny or JoJo, but all the things that Bong did for us, we couldn't replace. And so I felt that he was really the key guy to our Grand Slam back in '96. So for him not to be there is a hard one. But, you're also missing Danny Siegel, who was a huge impact player when he came in. Olsen Marcella, who I coached in the Centennial team. Another guy that came from nowhere and became a star. I mean, imagine, Ateneo. Who would ever thought he would have been even a PBA player when he was at Ateneo?
It was like the second half of his career is when it took off.
Yeah, but it took off enough that he was an impact player. So all those guys are really tough to leave off.
Well, as Coach said, we will have our prejudices. So Nelson, I thought, should have been there in the first place. I coached, as well as Coach Tim Cohn coached Yo-Yo Villamin, so I will have my prejudices again, and I will have to say and fight maybe for a slot for Yo-Yo. But somebody I did not coach and I thought should be there also is Abby King.
Yes.
Abby King was the epitome of the role player when role players weren't in fashion. Now we see role players and their roles are well defined and most teams have role players. But when role players were not within the psyche of the coaches and the teams, he was the role player. And I thought he started that. He started that importance, giving importance to the role of the role players. So, he was with the Toyota team, and the Toyota team was very successful when he was there. Another thing about the top 40 players is I thought we put in players who might need a little bit more time to prove themselves.
Okay.
And these guys are young guys, so they're going to have their time. But these guys who have proven themselves before should at least have that priority in terms of getting recognized and being given credit for the work that they've done before.
Okay.
These players who made the list who are still playing, they get their chances. And they're great players. So I just thought that if we're talking about priorities, maybe this guy should have been given priorities.
Yeah, because they've been out of the game a little bit longer.
Yes.
Yeah. And the criteria that they have certain criteria that made automatics for a lot of players. And like one of them was MVP. And it's really hard to win an MVP. But that's 1 year. And you might have one good year, but you're really talking about when you're talking about the 40 greatest players, you're talking about players who impact throughout their whole career.
Yes.
And not necessarily a guy who plays well for 1 year or even 2 years is a guy that will maybe rate with someone like an Abby King who had that long, lustrous career and really made a Toyota team, took him to the next level.
Exactly. And that's why I respect Asi a lot, because he said he can give his slot to maybe Nelson Asaitono, because he knows that your time in history is going to come. And Asi is going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
So, you have to give him respect for what he said.
How about you made a comparison also about Bong Hawkins and Mark Pingris. Pingris made the list, and you said even though they're very different, they're also very the same.
Well, yeah, I don't want to downgrade Mark because Mark is, I mean, he's really been really unique in his role and what he does. And he's like the superstar of all role players.
Yeah.
But Bong and Ping were very similar in that they played a certain role for their team, and if you pull them out of that team and you let them play without them, it changes the whole personality of that team and the whole concept of what that team's all about if you pull those guys out. And that may not happen if you pull some of the other great players of that era or of that team. So, but they went about it a little differently. Bong was a better shooter, Ping was a little better rebounder, Bong, they just had different ways, but they still played that role, if that makes any sense at all.
Different styles, but same role.
Yeah.
Okay.
They really got things done, but they did it a little differently, but their roles were kind of the same. And neat players.
We are still here with Coach Yeng Guiao and Coach Tim Cohn, and right now we're going to ask you about the national team. Since you guys have had your own experience coaching, of course, the national team here in the Philippines, but in 2013, Gilas Pilipinas just, broke the curse that both of you have, kind of experienced too. But when you coach the national team, there's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of pressure, and there are a lot of people looking at you, watching you if you can take the team to different heights. And both of you were there when we broke the Korea curse. So can you take us back to that day, especially since you guys had your own experiences with this team?
Well, it's emotional because I've gone through that.
Yeah.
2009, I coached the national team, and we were leading Korea in the last 1 minute. Mm-hmm. I think we led them by 4 or 5 points.
I think it was 5.
We lost by 1 point.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating, and you want to get back at Korea, but there's no way you can get back at them except to wait for the next one. So I was doing the game that time, and it happens, and your frustrations come out, and you have players there who are like doing it for you vicariously. Jeff was there, and Gabe was there, and Bo was there, although he was the reserve. So you had your participation. You had your history with Korea, and you've wished them luck, wished them all the positive things that can happen. And then it happens, and it becomes really emotional. So I wasn't the only one crying, I thought. And I wouldn't admit I was crying. I was teary-eyed. My voice was breaking. But it's really just maybe the general sentiment of the whole Filipino population.
For sure. Coach Tim.
Oh, I look at the Koreans and I can't stand them. sorry. But, it just, they beat me up. They beat us up back then, and it was a really devastating. We built the team in '98 to beat China. And I'll be the first to admit, I made a really big coaching error. I didn't think about Koreans. We were so set on beating Wang Zhuzhu and Menk Batir and that great China team. And so we built the team accordingly. And then what happens, we played Korea and in the semis, and they just destroyed us. We weren't ready for their quickness and speed and the way we played. And ironically, just before that, we played China, and we lost by 7 points to China, and really had the lead going down the stretch and had a chance to beat China. And then in the finals, China beats Korea by 35 or 36 points. So it was really devastating. I'll tell you, that was the most devastating time of my career. He was coaching in '98. It was hard. It was really, really hard. And really felt, even though we won the bronze medal, it really felt like a total failure. And so I'd always told my players, and we played practice games, we are never going to lose to Korea again. We're never going to lose to Korea again. So they know how intense I am when it comes to playing the Koreans. And so to see Chut be able to, who's a really close friend of mine, be able to overcome that. And he was my assistant back at the time. So, you know, I was able to live vicariously through Chut. And it was I knew how much it meant to him, and it was just, the feeling was just immense. Almost indescribable.
You know, one thing about the Korean national team, they change players, they change coaches, but they come to the international competition and they play exactly the same way. No, it's the same style, the ball movement, the three-point shooting, just the screening and the movement. They set such crisp, nice screens that gets their shooters open. And they do that every year. They change. Maybe Shin Dong-pa was the top Korean shooter that time. Maybe this time it's a different player, but it's exactly the same thing, the same style.
I've always told Coach Eric Spoelstra, I told him, I said, the one team you have to watch, because he's a real fascinated by different systems and stuff. The one team you have to watch consistently is Korean national team. Not the Korean leagues, but the Korean national team. They play the same way all the time, and it's an amazing game to watch them. It's neat that we've been able to beat them.
That's also one reason they beat China, because they're so consistent with their three-point shooting. They're so consistent with their ball movement, with their passing. They have the nice big guys who are not really that athletic, but they know how to position themselves against the bigger Chinese. That's why they're very successful against China.
They've had great success against them.
Let's go to the FIBA World Cup, another historic moment. We won our first game in 4 decades. What did that mean to Philippine basketball? Not just to be able to win one game, but to be
back on the world stage.
And to push those teams, Argentina, and some of those top teams.
Those games were close.
We could have won all those games, basically. But what was going through your minds? I mean, watching the Philippine team go up against some of the best in the world and competing.
Well, I thought the World Championships was really the benchmark of the national team. I mean, that was where they were at their best, and they played, I mean, incredible basketball.
Yeah.
And I thought they were incredibly coached, and there was a certain level of pride in that team that was really going on. And I look back on that and I say, you know, we had such a great feeling about that. But then when we look back on the Gilas team, we don't look at it there. We look at it what happened afterwards at the Asian Games, and that's where we have a tendency to grade them. And I don't think that was fair. It's like this conference for us. And we won that Grand Slams. We came in and we just couldn't get the pulse of the team up, you know, and beating quickly. And I think that's what happened with the World Championships. That national team got that great run there, and then suddenly they couldn't have it anymore for the World Championships. And I think that to me is the greatest hardship of that team, is that the World Championships was really the benchmark.
Yeah.
And we felt tremendous about that. And we proved we could challenge anybody in the world with the way we played there. But then now we grade them by what happened in the Asian Games. And that's why I kept saying, don't make changes, bring it back, because we were focusing on the wrong thing.
Okay. Well, of course, we've seen the players and the coaching staff break down several times in the course of FIBA Asia and of course the FIBA World Cup. And as coaches, at what point do you start pushing them to get past the physical aspect? Because obviously we are not the most physically gifted team, but you know, our players have a lot of heart. But at what point do you have to keep pushing them to just keep going?
I thought we really played well in the FIBA World Cup. We had some problems in the FIBA Asia. And to me, maybe it's just the mental preparation. Probably the physical.
FIBA Asia or the Asian Games?
Asian Games. I mean the Asian Games. The Asian Games. I thought that by the time we played the Asian Games, the guys were just really tired. They were really burned out, and the enthusiasm wasn't really there anymore. So to me, I thought that was the only reason why maybe Coach Chot's not coaching anymore, or because of the negative feedback after that. But if we were to judge by the performance of the team in the FIBA world, we should be just exulting and excited about Philippine basketball. And to me, the image that I see most every time I think about the FIBA is Gabe Norwood dunking over Luis Scola. And I'm saying, Gabe, can you please do that? And he dunked twice. The other one was going strong to the basket. It was a left-handed dunk. And, in your mind, you say, wow, we can do this against the best in the world. Why can't we do that against the best in Asia? So I thought that was the mentality of most people who watch the games in the FIBA world and then watch the games in the Asian games. So the expectation was really so high that we thought that the Asian games was there for us for the picking.
I just think that the problem wasn't with the coaching or the system or how they did it. I felt the problem was really in the scheduling.
Yes.
I thought the Asian Games was just too quick after the World Championships, and we probably would have been better off to let it go and not focus on it and let our PBA teams go at it.
Yeah, maybe two things. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of priorities. Did we really want to prepare for the FIBA world, or did we really want to prepare for the Asian Games?
Yes, okay.
So we just needed to answer that question.
Yeah, priorities.
So would it have been fair to, let's say, after the World Cup, okay, let's send some of the cadet players to play in the Asian Games. Give some of the guys a rest. I mean, they've gone through so much.
That would have been a good idea because, we have 4 players, including Bo, who was on the reserve, but he was with the team all throughout. So he was as tired as they were. Yeah, he was as tired. He was as tired as they were. They weren't seeing their families for 2 months about that time for the preparation and for the tournament itself. So by the time I was seeing them in practice, they were asking to be excused. When they came back, they were asking to be excused. Coach, we're so tired, we'd appreciate if you can excuse us from practice. By the time they practiced, and then the Asian Games was about to start, they were saying, we're not really ready to play in the Asian Games, and Paul in particular said, if I could skip it, I'll skip it. So they were not really into the Asian Games at that point.
Yeah. Same with Ping. I mean, Ping went through the Grand Slam and then turned around to the World Championships and then turned around to the Asian Games and then came right back and wanted to start practicing right away. And he was just absolutely burned out. And it showed up for him in this conference. He was really up and down. He wasn't the normal Ping this conference. And we get our energy off of him. And we just played kind of an energy-less game through the whole conference.
We're going to be taking a quick break and then be coming right back. Still with us here in the studio, Coach Yeng Guiao and, of course, Coach Tim Cone. And you have another question about some of the players in Gilas.
Because we started out seeing Gabe Norwood as the quiet kid. Like a little scared to bang bodies, but recently, I mean, after his Gilas experience and after being coached by you, after you came in, all of a sudden we saw Gabe just shoot up to the potential that everyone knew he could be.
Let's be a defensive stopper.
And yeah, there you go. So as his coach, I mean, you had something to do with that, I'm sure.
Well, I'm not really too sure about that, but Gabe played a lot of minutes in the World Cup.
Yeah.
One reason he was playing a lot of minutes was they needed a stopper.
Yeah.
They needed a stopper against probably the best shooters or the best scorer of the other team. And I thought that the reason Coach Chot was giving him that time was he was the best stopper probably, with the length, with the athleticism, with the size, with the experience. So he scored every now and then. We saw those dunks. But I thought the most important contribution of Gabe was really his defense the whole time.
Now, how about Ping? I mean, Ping, it's been said that
the
he has
most
one talent.
undersized defender with the biggest heart.
Yeah, one talent, and that's hard work. And then he's going up against guys who are, what, almost 7 feet tall, and Ping's maybe 6'5". Talk about what he brought, not just to the team, but not to just to Purefoods, but to the Philippine team as well.
Well, you saw him go up against all these huge guys, and he has such a. First of all, he's much more athletic than people believe. He is really an athlete. He really jumps well. He's quick off the floor, and he doesn't back down from anybody. And so I think that he brought that to that team, and it was amazing. You know, I did a couple of coverages of the games, and it was amazing to see him be able to slip in between guys and grab rebounds against 7-footers. When he's really only legitimately, I mean, people say he's 6'5", or 6'6", he's really only about 6'3 and a half.
Yeah.
I shouldn't tell you that. But he's really not that tall. But and that was kind of he represented the whole team in that, and the whole spirit of the team, of the whole can-do philosophy that we can do this, we can compete. And I felt he was the guy that represented it all, just because he had to, for him to be able to do those things, he had to have a tremendous heart. And a real true belief that it can be done. And to see him dominate some of the 6'11", 7-footers was really amazing.
That whole Puso thing was a lot for Ping. And Paul Lee also, especially in the tournament before the FIBA World Cup, he won the tournament. We won the bronze in the tournament with those 2 free throws from Paul. And he was a late addition to Gilas, but he brought a different dynamic to the team.
Definitely.
Paul can create his own shot. You give him the ball, give him space, maybe give him a little pick here and there. He's going to score, he's going to create. And the nice thing about Paul is he can, at will, penetrate, and he can spot the shooters at the corners, maybe at the wings. So if you surround him with good shooters, if you give him bigs who can cut, who can pop out, he'll find them. If he can't find them, he'll find a way to score himself.
Okay.
Defensively, I thought Paul is also underestimated. He's going to bang bodies with the guards, and you know, in the FIBA World Cup, you were guarding the best guards in the world, and I thought he just performed really well against the top guards in the world. Okay. And you know, when I have him here, and you see him play, and you think, oh, this guy was playing with those NBA players, and he was really putting up a show against them.
All right. Well, during your time in '98 and of course in 2009, and just with Coach Chot in 2013-14, you have seen a lot of changes in the way the Philippine national team has been brought about. For you, though, considering what has happened in the past couple of years, what else does the Philippine team need to improve?
Well, it certainly needs Fajardo and Slaughter at this point. That's going to make big improvement. As they mature, the national team will mature also. And you got guys like Paul. Paul's still a young guy. I mean, you have a lot of young talent out there that's still going to mature at an incredible rate. And but I also think, to me, it's all about continuity. I mean, the biggest thing for me was that I never was able to do it again. I mean, I learned so much and was never able to apply it. Coach Yeng did it one time, and he was never able to apply it. And it's having that continuity. And we talked about the Koreans just recently, you know, about the continuity of their program. They have, you know, their program never changes, and that's why they have such great success, especially in Asia. You know, they don't have the size or the creativity that we have to go to play on the world stage. I think we're much more creative, and that gives us an edge over Korea in the world stage. Korea didn't play half as well as we did in the World Championships, but they're very successful in China. But their program stays consistent and successful because of their consistency. And I think that's the one thing we need to have, is that continuity over and over again. And, you know, I don't know where we're going to go from here. And that's really, for me, the big question. Are we going to start all over again, or are we going to have some continuity?
Well, if if it's really continuity we want, I think it starts with the program, it starts with the coach. And one reason Coach Chot was successful in the World Cup was that he brought his previous experience into the World Cup, and he was really just immersed. He immersed himself into doing his job. So the next question I think is important, because do we really need our national coach to be full-time?
Okay.
And I think it cuts both ways. You can have a full-time coach and he can have all the time and he can do all the scouting, he can go abroad and do all those things that needs to be done. But at the same time, the question is, if you want him to be full-time, that means he's vacant right now. And if he's vacant right now, is he the best coach that you can have for the national team? The best coaches are coaching
in the PBA.
In the PBA. The best coaches are coaching in the PBA. And I'll take myself out of it because I'm not going to be available for that. So I'm going to take myself out of it. It's possible, at least for me, it's possible for the national team coach to be coaching a club team.
Okay.
It's possible because the players are doing that.
Yeah.
The players are playing for the national team and they're playing for their club teams. Now, why can't a coach do that? So if you want the best coach is coaching in the PBA. And I'm going to take myself out of it because I'm not going to be a candidate and I'm not going to accept it because there's somebody who's probably going to do a better job than I will. I think we just have to rethink that requirement that he has to be full-time.
All right, guys. Before we go, I mean, we can sit here with you two and pick your brains for probably an entire year and still not run out of things to talk about. But unfortunately, it is that time. It is that time to have to wrap it up and pretty much call it a show. And almost the year is almost over.
Yes, and of course, before we go, there are certain people that maybe you guys want to thank, especially, you know, your very loyal fans out there. Any message to, of course, the, well, Purefoods fans and the Rain or Shine fans?
If I may say, this has been, these 2 episodes have been extremely interesting to me. I hope it's interesting to be sitting here next to Coach Yang and hear his views and being able to part mine. It's been really, really, truly interesting. But again, I want to thank you so much for all that for tonight, and I want to again wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I guess it was yesterday, right? Yeah. And again, all the fans of Purefoods, I love you, and you've been so good to me, and it's been great.
All right, Coach Yang.
Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year. Again, Rain or Shine fans, I hope we're winning. And we'll just keep keeping our best, playing our best for you. And we hope you support us with your prayers. We hope everybody's healthy. We hope that the next season is going to be good for Coach Tim and for myself.
Is this a preview of the finals next conference?
I hope so. I just want to get there. It doesn't matter who we play, but if they're there, I mean, I just want to get there.
Thank you so much. It's been truly an honor to have both of you here in the studio and the set with us. I mean, it's...
You have no idea how long we've been wanting to do this episode. So thank you so much for taking the time.
This is unique because I haven't talked this way and gotten an interview this way with Coach Tim in a long time. Probably never. I don't know.
Probably never. Funny that we started off real close together.
So this is the first time you guys are seated together during an interview.
And it's, you know, been what, 20, almost 25 years, 24, 25 years?
Maybe for you. But,
yeah, for you too.
I started coaching PBA when I was 12 years old. So.
Okay, I get it. I read into that one.
All right, thank you so much, Coach Tim. Thank you, Coach Yang.